Have you been training for HYROX by simply just doing HYROX simulations over and over again? Trust me, I've been there. I did it for quite some while and all it got me was being exhausted, slower, injured, and honestly, losing the fun at it. But in less than a week, I'm actually racing my first ever HYROX race, and I can say I've learned a lot of things on the way that improved my training and my performance. And here are the 7 things I wish I've learned when starting my own HYROX training journey, so you don't have to do the same mistakes that I did. So let's jump right into it. Lesson 1, increasing training frequency and volume without risking an injury. Especially in the beginning of our HYROX journey, we are really motivated and we just simply want to increase the volume and intensity at the same time. But this is probably the worst thing you can do. Even as an experienced runner, HYROX training is very intense on your body, because the problem is a lot of HYROX workouts include running sections. So if you're simply using HYROX workouts from the internet, which include running, but at the same time you also did already a running workout, let's say in the morning, this is a recipe for disaster, because now you're putting a lot of load on your ligaments, bones, structures and muscles and everything else. Even if your workout says that you have, let's say, 400-meter runs in between some HYROX specific stations, take out the runs and swap them with, let's say, a rower or a ski erg. It's really important, especially in the running portion of the HYROX workouts, to simply get your body used to it. The most injuries in HYROX occur actually not from the stations but from running itself. And also another very important thing is intensity stacking. So if you already have a hard session, let's say on a Monday, it would be actually smart to follow it up with a intense track session or vice versa, and Tuesday being 2 easy workouts. So you're actually giving your body, let's say, a full 24 hours to rest and recover. So on easy days go easy and on hard days go hard. Lesson number 2, station specific training. And what I mean with this point is simply in the beginning, take your time to learn the proper technique of the stations. This will save you so much energy and also so much workload in the future to come, because especially as you ramp up your training more towards race day, the load will increase, and if you have poor technique, you have to work way harder than you're supposed to. And another point is also when it comes to station specific training, I know we often like to shy away from the station that is the hardest or feels the hardest for us. For me, for my example, it's burpees. I freaking hate burpees. It's definitely my weakness, and especially in the beginning, I shied away from doing burpees in my training because it simply felt hard and tough. But if you want to improve your weakness, obviously you need to work on it. So one thing I can really recommend, especially in the beginning, identify your weakness early and work on it. So if you're new to HYROX, there is a benefit of doing a light HYROX simulation right in the beginning of your training block, so simply you can see where your weak points are and put more emphasis on these specific stations itself. Lesson 3, don't be ashamed to ask someone for help. Especially in HYROX, HYROX is super complicated and super complex, especially when starting out. Ask someone that maybe has done it before or has some expertise in it. There's so many great athletes out there nowadays online, for example Rich Ryan, Tim Vinish. A lot of the elites and professionals actually have their own online programs that are not too expensive. You don't need to go out and get a personal trainer, but honestly, HYROX has so many specific things that you need to train for. You have to improve your anaerobic system, your aerobic system, build your endurance, build your muscle endurance so you can perform under fatigue. You need to improve your fatigue resistance, power, your strength, your grip strength. The list goes on. So if you're thinking you can simply write your own program, trust me, it's not going to be fun, because you're simply going to get injured or not see the improvements that you want to see. There's so many good resources on the internet, so simply make use of them. And if you don't know, ask someone. There's so many people that are doing HYROX successfully nowadays. You will definitely find someone who can help you with your problem. Lesson number 4, and that's the one I'm personally still struggling with the most, and I feel like a lot of people do, and that's simply listening to your body. Especially if you're well into your training and some niggles starting to come up and you just simply want to keep going because you're in such a good flow, don't do it. Risking an injury is never worth it, because you want to be at the start line, and you can only be at the start line if you're healthy. So one recommendation I would give to people is, if you have a niggle coming up, don't ignore it. You don't have to stop training as well, because that's the other side of it. If you sometimes listen to every niggle and stop training for every niggle that comes up, you will never get into flow, and that's also going to be very demotivating, and you will never actually stick to your program. So as soon as a niggle come up, refer to cross training. Especially in HYROX, it's perfect, because let's say you have a bit of a knee problem, your knee hurts a bit, you don't have to go for another run. You can simply use a ski erg or row erg. You can go onto the bike, elliptical. There is so many good tools. You can still get your conditioning in and do some workouts. Let's say you have a knee problem, you can go onto the rower, you can go on the ski. Maybe don't do sled pushes, but maybe you can even do sled pulls. Don't do burpees, don't do lunges, and no wall balls. But let's say you have something on your back, you can still do all the leg heavy or leg focused exercises and stations. So with HYROX, it's really good because you have so many different varieties that you can simply always, even if a niggle comes up, keep pushing without risking an injury. Lesson number 5, mental training. And what do I actually mean with mental training? To be clear here, HYROX is a very, very painful sport. Yes, a lot of other sports are as well, especially endurance sports like Ironmans and marathons. When it comes to the more longer side, everything above 2, 3, 4 hours, you're training or you're running at a different intensity, at a very slow, steady pace that you keep holding for a longer time. With HYROX, it has this very nasty sweet spot of roughly an hour, hour 15, 1 hour 30, however long you need, that you have to go so hard and so intense that you're not redlining, but you're still at the verge of simply not being able to go any faster or more intense. So this requires a lot of mental strength. So one thing I like to do if I have a hard HYROX session in the gym and it's been going on for quite some time already, let's say I'm working out already for like 60 minutes or even more, I love to finish my workout with some unbroken wall balls or something really tough. Let's say I go 90 seconds onto the bike with really high intensity to really get those legs fatigued, and then do like a lunge sprint, which means I go 30 meters of walking lunges straight after the bike. Something that really pushes my mind, because honestly, if we're coming to that last station, the wall balls, we're already going to be so exhausted, and necessarily it's not going to be our legs or body that will give up, but it's also our mental state. How many more unbroken wall balls can you push? That's sometimes really going to be a determining factor of finishing in a PB or simply just finishing in a time we're not necessarily happy with. So building in these little mental challenges or mental games in your training can really work wonders when you get to race day being fully prepared, not only physically but also mentally, to push through those pains that definitely going to occur, especially in HYROX. Lesson number 6: learn to feel your running pace and effort. What you have to understand, if you're inside doing a HYROX race with a lot of people around you, your watch probably will be super useless. The GPS will be off, maybe your heart rate will work, but on the arm, especially when you're doing a HYROX, it's not really accurate, and I don't think you want to run around with a chest strap and also constantly checking your heart rate. Although professionals are also not looking at their heart rate, they have such a good feel already for their running pace and running feel, they can simply listen to their body during race day. So that's one thing I would highly recommend you actually focus on in training, that sometimes you just simply not look at your watch, but you're starting to learn if you're going too fast, too slow, too intense, are you redlining, are you still fine? Having this skill of literally leaning into your body, listening, how do you feel, am I pushing fine, am I actually going too slow, could I push harder, or am I pushing too fast right now, is a really good skill to have, especially when race day comes, because you simply can't rely on the data on your watch anymore. And lesson number 7, pacing strategy. And here's a little disclaimer, like I said, I didn't race my own race yet, but I spoke to countless people that really successfully raced, and also actually the current world champion Tim Vienisch, who all gave me some really exciting tips when it comes to race day strategy. Let's start with the beginning. Especially if you get nervous on race day or just before the start, the worst thing you could do is go too early into the start tunnel. My friend really recommended me to wait until 1 minute before the start and then simply entering the start tunnel and working your way to the front. By the time you reach the front, it's probably only 30 seconds till the start goes off, and you're well on the way to simply go and lock in and focus on yourself. So that's one tip right in the beginning if you get nervous. Then obviously, like in any other races, we often are super motivated and going out way too hard. But especially in HYROX, I heard that now from countless people saying the race doesn't really start until station 5. Until you're done with your burpee pro jumps, you always should make sure that you always still have something left in the tank. So for the second half of the race, you can really go push and go closer to your red line and really leaving it all out there. But if you're simply doing that too early, you will have no energy left after the burpee pro jumps. Then also when it comes to the penalties, it's actually the first 4 stations where you can get the worst penalties, especially in the sled pull if you're stepping over in the back, or also in the burpee pro jumps if you're, for example, not making sure you have clean technique and you're jumping off of staggered feet. This is something that can really cost you towards the end. So especially in the first 4 stations, it's even more important to really focus on your technique and making sure that you follow the rules so you don't get any penalties, because these penalties will cost you. Especially if you watch the Elite 15 race in Hamburg, that was madness, and it can really destroy your race. And especially if you're already getting a penalty that early in the race, it's going to be really tough mentally. So these are my 7 lessons that I've learned training for my first HYROX, and I wish I could have avoided them before starting out. So I hope this was really helpful for you and you can avoid some of them so you can improve and really enjoy your HYROX journey. And if you really enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, watch some more videos. And next week is going to be the last video of the series, and afterwards we're already going to come with the race day recap. So thanks for joining in again, watching till the end. You're a real one. Much love and peace.